time for some business news now. Here's Anne Nwaldo.
Thank you, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. Africa's economic growth is expected to rise to around 4% this year and in 2021, up from 3.4% in 2019, and that's according to the African Development Bank. The AFDB, in its latest forecast for the continent, says that the expected acceleration in growth of 3.9% in 2020 and 4.1% in 2021 will be driven by infrastructure investment and natural resource exports. The Multilateral Development Finance Institution also explains that the expansion will be marked by a shift from private consumption to investment and net exports. Meanwhile, the AFDB report also mentions that growth last year was below the average 5% rate of the past decade due to slower growth in the continent's big five economies, which includes Nigeria, South Africa, Algeria, Egypt, and Morocco. The Senate is to probe the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, over the sum of $396 million spent on turnaround maintenance for the country's refineries between 2013 and 2015. The Senate's decision to launch the probe follows a motion raised by a federal lawmaker, Senator Yusuf, who says the refineries have remained in moribund state for nearly 2 decades. After presenting his motion, the Senate mandated its Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Upstream and Gas to conduct proper investigation on the expenditure as well as the current state of the refineries and reconvene a stakeholders' conference on their rehabilitation.
NNPC recently announced, as published by the Punch newspaper of Thursday, 23rd January 2020, a cumulative loss of 23.25 billion naira in 10 months, January to October 2019, putting the total revenue of the facilities at 68.82 billion, while the total expenses incurred was 192.1 billion naira within the same period. The Senate worried that such huge wastages and slippages amidst the nation's tight economy, if not addressed, may lead the country back to recession. And finally, the Senate is disturbed that the continuous deterioration of the refinery facilities to a state of near collapse could be as a result of contributory negligence on the part of the NNPC, orchestrated towards siphoning the economy through a disguised process referred to as under-recovery, with its attendant spending of huge funds aimed at sabotaging the effort of the federal government in its fight against corruption.
And to some company news now. Stanbic IBTC Holdings PLC has posted its 2019 full-year earnings, which reveals relatively flat earnings of 75.0 billion naira. Profit before tax shows a more noticeable growth of 3.1% year-on-year, while non-interest income was up by 6.0%. Earnings per share was lower at 1.7% year-on-year at 6.92 naira, indicating the impact of the additional shares issued on account of scrip dividend distribution. Net interest income was slightly lower at 0.5%, while gross loans and advances improved by 21.2% to 556.4 billion naira as at the full year of 2019. More profit-taking activities have pushed Nigeria's stock markets further away from the 15 trillion naira mark, with a year-to-date performance now currently standing at plus 8.1%. Ekaite Afia has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Despite a string of latest earnings report released today, the stock market maintains a negative posture for a fourth straight session this week, down by 0.27% today. The latest downturn, which pushed the equities cap lower by 41 billion naira, further below the 15 trillion naira level, is largely attributed to losses from the industrial, consumer goods, as well as the oil and gas sector of the NSE. Now, this comes after investors intensified sell pressure on the 21 equities led by leading conglomerate UACN, which lost 10%, while Cornerstone Insurance tops a list of 10 gainers, up by 9.26%. Meanwhile, total volume of shares traded for the day was higher by more than 31 million units compared to Wednesday's session at 274.46 million, while GT Bank emerged top on the trades list with a turnover of 75.72 million shares traded by investors. And that's the stock market report. I'm Ekaita Afia.
Thanks a lot, Akaite. Stock markets in the United States have made some rebounds today. Investors are still assessing the latest news on the deadly coronavirus. Let's find out how they all fared at the close of business. Thank you for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Back to you, Millicent.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. Now, host communities of OML 113 in Badagry local government area of Lagos State have become beneficiaries of the Ajay Microcredit scheme. At the formal launch in Badagry, the chairman of Yinka Folawiyo Petroleum Company Limited, which operates the OML, Mr. Tunde Folawiyo, explained that the scheme was established to give back to communities in the area. The scheme will give out interest-free loans of between 50 and 100,000 naira to help small businesses grow.
Community members and traditional rulers from Ajay in Badagry local government area are gathered in this hall.
I want to first of all invite...
Ajay community is host to OML 113, operated by Yinka Folawiyo Petroleum Limited. The oil company believes building the future is key as it launches the Ajay Microcredit scheme.
I want you to see this as the start of something sustainable, something that will grow bigger, and I pray that in years to come, we will look back on this day as something with nostalgia and with pride.
The scheme is designed to offer small interest loans of between 50 and 100,000 naira to qualified business owners in the community to grow their capacity.
By the grace of Almighty Allah, and as of this minute, the Ajay Microcredit Scheme, under the auspices of Yinka Folawiyo Petroleum Limited, is now officially open. Grants will be made to deserving and qualified applicants.
The whole idea is to ensure that we impact and let community feel some of the works that we've been doing as an indigenous E&P company, and a means of paying back to the community.
And for beneficiaries who will receive the loans, using the monies judiciously is important, while the project manager expresses gratitude.
I'm proud with what is going on here today, and I'm sure this is just a step out of the 1,000 kilometers where we are going. It's to impact on the people of Badagry. It's to give back to the people of Badagry.
I need to talk to those recipients that are likely to be benefiting from this program, and that is to honor your pledge.
Yinka Folawiyo Petroleum Company was incorporated in 1992 as a subsidiary of the Yinka Folawiyo Group of Companies. The oil company operates the Ajay field within OML 113, about 25 kilometers from the shoreline of Lagos.
More company news, and as part of its corporate social responsibility, the Distillers and Blenders Association of Nigeria, DBAN, they've announced the second phase of its advocacy campaign against irresponsible and underage alcohol consumption. At a press conference in Lagos, the chairman of DBAN says the campaign has become necessary to sanitize, or rather sensitize, consumers on responsible consumption of alcoholic beverages and discourage its sale to persons below the age of 18.
Underage alcohol consumption and an urgent need to curb it is the crux here, as members of the Distillers and Blenders Association of Nigeria gather to launch another phase of its advocacy campaign.
In 2019, our deep value for corporate social responsibility necessitated we respond with a strong advocacy platform to drive responsible drinking and zero alcohol consumption for minors and the other age.
The campaign has also garnered support from partners and regulatory agencies.
The NAFDAC Act empowers the agency, amongst other functions, to regulate and control importation, exportation, manufacture, advertisement, distribution, sale, and use of foods, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, bottled water, and chemicals. And the aspect we are dealing with now is how alcohol is consumed, and that is under use. So this is very important, and that is why the agency is keenly interested in the activities of DBAN.
So, how is the second phase of the campaign going to be executed?
Well, second phase is the amplification of what we had done in the first phase, which essentially is using certain critical vehicles to drive our communication of this advocacy. One of them is the radio. We're going to be running a lot of spots on radio to campaign against moderate drinking, drink responsibly, don't drink if you're under 18. We're also going to be very visible on virtually all the outdoor mediums that we have in Lagos and across several other states in Nigeria. We're using the social media platforms to also do a lot of amplifications, both on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and all what have you. And then we're also using publications, magazines in conjunction with NAFDAC to drive this. And we will be in the motor parks.
The group promises to continue to work in collaboration with regulatory agencies to champion initiatives that will cause Nigerians to imbibe a responsible drinking culture.
And Total E&P Nigeria, a joint venture partner with NNPC, has trained 3,000 senior secondary school students drawn from Amma, Obite, Egi, Klanek, Peye, Elele, Idu, Rumekpe, Rumuji, and Ndele, host communities of River State in computer-based proficiency. The beneficiaries from Total E&P OML 58 communities, many of whom are being exposed to computer use for the first time, say they are confident the training will enhance their performance in the forthcoming university matriculation examinations.
Continuing in its series of sustained interventions in its OML 58 host community, Total E&P Nigeria is in Obite in Egi, River State. This time, they've drilled down to impact their secondary school students with tailor-made solutions.
Without wasting much of our time, we are just going to go into the program.
Representing the Deputy Manager Community Affair, Erica Uke Omodo tells us the thinking behind this project.
This training program forms part of the sustained efforts of the NNPC TPNG's joint venture to support the federal and state governments in the training of secondary school students. It is also a demonstration of our commitment to supporting the continuous development of education in Rivers State, and a clear indication of our recognition of the important place our scholars occupy in the future development of our society.
74,101.
Massive deployment of computer-based proficiency training is on the way here for rural community secondary school students, essentially the host clan to Total E&P OML 58.
While in Port Harcourt, people are struggling to learn at least computer appreciation. But here you are, it has been made available to you free of charge.
Margarita.
These are the number of people that would have been disenfranchised from the upcoming JAMB and WAEC exams that will be written based on computers. Many of them before now have not handled as little as a mouse, but today, with the training they have received courtesy of Total E&P, they have become equipped to be able to face the exams ahead of them. Another project completed, several to go.
In the Niger Delta, there's no company that can be compared to Total. We have a Jeep oil company here. They have not been doing anything. You can't feel their presence here. When you go there, they will attack you with the army that they kept there. But Total has a very open policy, so we appreciate them.
Total EMP says to watch this space for more of company-host community relations.
Still ahead on the news at 10, World Health Organization declares coronavirus global health emergency as outbreak continues to spread outside China. That's from our London studios and around the world in 5+. Countdown to 20th National Sports Festival begins as President Buhari flags a movement of the Torch of Unity. That's on Sports News. Please join us again.